Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take your sources, unpack them, and try to figure out what's really going on.
Yeah, there.
So today we're diving into, well, the whole conversation around actress Jenna Ortega, especially after Wednesday just exploded.
Oh, it was massive. And you sent over some interesting stuff, interviews she did with Harpers Bazaar, Variety, and also this quite lively YouTube discussion reacting to those pop culture focus.
Exactly. So our mission here is basically to sift through all that, pull out the key takeaways,
That makes sense.
understand the different angles on her experience with this sudden fame, the media stuff, and maybe see what it tells us about, well, being under that intense spotlight today.
Got it. So taking the info you've provided and just distilling it.
Pretty much.
Okay, well, let's get into it. The absolute core seems to be just how huge and fast that shift was for her after Wednesday.
Right. The sources really emphasize her feeling, well, pretty unhappy, actually, overwhelmed by it all.
Yeah, they quote her saying it was stunning, unprocessed.
And unnatural. That one stood out.
It did. And that phrase, something human beings weren't designed to go through. Wow.
Yeah, that's heavy. It really gets at the sheer scale of it, doesn't it?
Definitely. And she had that analogy, you mentioned it, comparing like old school village interactions.
Where everyone knows everyone.
To now, this global, constant online feedback thing.
Yeah.
Like our brains just aren't wired for that level of input.
Exactly. And it seems like that constant feedback, especially the negative side, really got to her.
Yeah. The sources talk about her struggling with the sheer volume, the negativity on social media.
Which apparently led her to ditch her smartphone.
For a flip phone. Yeah. Which, I mean, that's a statement, isn't it?
It really is. Shows a need to just disconnect. She even apparently described herself as feeling like an unhappy person because of it all.
All that pressure, the attention, especially as she says, being quite introverted.
Yeah, that adds another layer. It paints a picture, that's maybe not the glamorous side we always assume comes with massive success.
Not at all. And she actually had a plan to properly escape, right? A farm in Iceland.
An Icelandic farm. Talk about the opposite of Hollywood.
Totally. But the sources say that fell through. Tim Burton called about the Beetlejuice sequel.
And bam, back into another huge project. Talk about whiplash.
Yeah, from Quiet Escape Plan to Beetlejuice 2. Wild. Okay, so let's shift a bit. The sources also picked up on some specific comments she made that really got people talking.
Oh, yeah, that comment about feeling patronized.
Exactly. By wearing the Wednesday schoolgirl uniform as an adult woman.
And her reasoning, according to the reports, was partly about playing someone much younger, but also tied into her height. She's 5 feet. And being female, feeling like physically looked down upon or maybe not taken as seriously.
She even mentioned a Napoleon complex, apparently.
Right. So that was her feeling, as reported in those interviews. But the commentary you sent over, well, they had a different take.
They really did. They kind of pushed back, pointing out, hey, lots of adult actors play younger. It's pretty standard.
And wearing specific costumes is just part of the job, right? Whether it's a Letterman jacket or
Iron Man's suit or Thor's cape. Yeah. Their point was, it comes with the territory.
It does highlight that tension, though, between, the actor's personal experience of it and what's considered normal practice.
Absolutely. And sticking with that theme of maybe not being taken seriously as an adult playing young.
Yeah.
The sources connected it to Natalie Portman.
Ah, right. Portman talking about child actors being treated like little adults.
And how that experience made her hesitant about her own kids joining the industry.
And Jenna Ortega apparently said she related immensely to that, to not feeling taken seriously when she was a kid working in Hollywood.
Yeah. Which maybe feeds into this idea the sources mentioned.
Yeah.
That playing such an iconic young character now, as an adult,
might make people still see her that way, like through that younger lens.
Possibly.
Yeah.
So moving beyond just the work itself, the sources also touched on the broader challenges of just being famous, feeling incredibly misunderstood.
Which, honestly, isn't that surprising given the level of scrutiny, right?
Not really.
Yeah.
And they mentioned she's aware, that the internet rewards controversy, but she tries to just ignore it.
Easier said than done, I imagine. She also apparently found the whole rumor mill quite eye-opening.
Yeah, and the commentary piece suggested that probably related to those Johnny Depp dating rumors that were flying around.
Yeah, and that commentary made a good point, I thought, about social media, how anonymity makes it easier to just lash out.
Be hurtful, yeah. And maybe we get desensitized to it all.
They also picked up on her comments about different standards for young women versus young men.
Oh, yeah, her feeling that girls get slammed if they change their image from that initial perfect one.
Right, you hear things like, she's changed or she sold her soul.
Well, guys, she felt kind of get away with more.
And the commentary immediately linked that to recent reactions she's gotten, right? her red carpet looks.
Totally. The bleached eyebrows, the bangs,
Yeah.
people apparently saying things online like, what happened to her?
Looks terrible, trying too hard to look ugly.
Or that exact phrase, sold her soul to the Hollywood machine. The commentary seemed pretty sure that's the kind of stuff she was talking about.
Yeah, it lines up. Okay, so let's try and tie this all together with the commentary's thoughts on, like, media narratives and public empathy. What do we actually expect from celebrities?
This is where that YouTube commentary got pretty blunt, actually.
How so?
Well, they sort of acknowledged, okay, stars are human, they have struggles, but they argued the general public often just doesn't want to hear about it.
Like, they don't relate, or they're not that interested in celebrity complaints?
Pretty much, especially given the, perceived perks and privilege of the job. They compared it to complaining about your regular 9 to 5. It just doesn't land the same way for most people.
Huh. So their argument is partly about knowing your audience.
Yeah, that being a public figure means thinking about how your words will be received, that actors can sometimes seem very self-indulgent if they don't factor that in.
It's such a contrast, isn't it? That earlier story about her that everyone seemed to love, her dedication to Wednesday, getting involved in the script change.
Right. The sources call that an endearing story. People really like that narrative of commitment and passion.
So it's like this tightrope walk. Stories about dedication. Good. Stories about personal struggles or complaints, maybe not so much.
Exactly. The commentary even brought up Tom Cruise as, like, an example. Someone who focuses really heavily on gratitude for the chance to entertain.
And that approach often connects better with audiences, they argued.
They also went back to that physical stuff comparison, asking, do male actors complain about having to be shirtless?
Like Henry Cavill or Alan Ritchson. The suggestion being they just kind of do the work.
Although, to be fair, the sources did note that Cavill apparently did raise concerns.
Oh, right.
But it was more about the character's over-sexualization in the source material, not just the act of being shirtless itself. So, a bit of nuance there.
Still, the commentary offered some business advice, they called it.
Yeah, basically. For celebrities, especially starting out, focusing on gratitude for the opportunities, that tends to build a better connection with the audience paying to see their work.
Which brings us back to that specific point they questioned, complaining about not getting a vacation sabbatical at 21.
Right. Is that something most people can relate to? Their take was, probably not.
Okay, so wrapping this deep dive up, what we're really seeing from your sources is this major tension, right?
Yeah, definitely. On one hand, you've got the very real, intense pressure of sudden global fame on one person.
Someone who calls herself introverted, feeling overwhelmed.
The personal cost, yeah. And then on the other hand, you have all these complex, sometimes contradictory expectations from the public, from the media.
About how celebrities should act, how they should feel, what struggles are okay to talk about versus, what sounds like complaining from a position of privilege.
It's a tricky balance. And these sources really give us a window into both her experience trying to navigate it all.
And the commentary reflecting how the whole celebrity machine and us as the audience kind of react to it.
Well, thanks for bringing these sources in. It was a really interesting set to unpack.
Yeah, it definitely gives you a lot to think about.
And maybe for you, listening, here's something to mull over. Considering everything we've talked about, the intense scrutiny, the conflicting pressures.
That personal impact versus public expectation.
Yeah. Is it even possible for someone in that position to be truly authentic, completely themselves, without facing some kind of significant backlash? And maybe, what do our reactions to celebrity struggles actually say about our own expectations?